If you've been looking to learn more about options and you don't really know where to start, I'm going to take you through all of the basics, especially for beginners, so that you have a really good understanding of what an option is. There's calls and puts and strike prices, expiry dates, option chains. I know that it can be very confusing. So I've broken down some analogies for you to wrap your head around it so you really understand in real terms what it is. Some good tips and tricks on how to remember a lot of the terms so that you understand it. And at the end, I even take you through on my platform and show you how to put on an actual trade so you can understand what it is you're doing when you go to buy an option, the benefits and the drawbacks. Let's not waste any more of your time. Get started right now. Okay, so options for beginners. We're going to go over what is an option. So I'll explain it to you in the simplest terms possible. Important terms that you need to know just so you can understand exactly what it is you're talking about, and some easy ways for you to remember because it can be kind of confusing, especially when you first start out. The strike price and the options tree. So I'm going to kind of show you that and explain some ins and outs of how that actually operates. And then we're going to show you the actual real-time knowledge. So I'm going to take you over to my trading platform and break it all down for you in real time so you can actually see on an actual trading platform. And I might even put on a trade, or at least get all the way to putting on a trade so that you can see how to actually go ahead and buy an option. So stick around for that till the end. So what is an option? The actual definition. Options are financial derivatives that give buyers the right, but not the obligation, to buy or sell an underlying asset at an agreed upon price and date. Now that sounds all fancy, but essentially what it's saying is you can buy a call or a put, an option contract, and basically it's allowing you to buy a certain strike price. Now I'm going to get into all of this, but it gives you the ability to actually buy an option in a stock. Let's just say the stock was priced at $100. If it's priced at $100, I could actually buy an option on it at, say, $120. So that contract will be tagged to the $120 mark. And then my hope from there would be that the stock moves up and continues going from there. Now, if this sounds all confusing to you and you don't understand why would you do a contract, I'll break it down in simple terms here using a real life example that you probably wouldn't have happen all the time, but it'll help you with the analogy. Say you went in to buy a car and it cost you $30,000 to buy the car. It's a nice cheap car, right? So you buy it for $30,000, but then the car manufacturer is taking too long to actually, build the car. They're having delays. They have problems with the manufacturing, stuff like that. Well, you have a contract to actually buy the car at $30,000, right? So you bought it at $30K and you have a contract saying it's worth that. Well, as time goes on, maybe prices in cars end up going up, right? There's more demand, like we saw during COVID and all that stuff. So the contract, the car, the price of that car is now $35,000, let's say. Well, logically, that option or that contract that you have is actually worth $5,000 because you have a car here that you can buy for $30K because you're locked into that price, but the car is actually worth $35,000. So you essentially just made $5,000 on just that contract alone, because you could turn around and go and sell this contract to somebody else. You could assign it to somebody else and make $5,000 on that. So hopefully that helps you wrap your head around, why would you actually want to do this? You made some money just on a piece of paper, right? So that's more a real life example, but the same thing is with the stocks. If I buy a contract for 120, but then the price goes all the way up to 140, well, then my stock, that contract is going to be worth a lot of money. And leverage comes into play when it comes to options. So call options and put options form the basis for a wide range of option strategies designed for hedging, income, or speculation. So you can basically trade these options if you want to just speculate. And I'll show you some ways later on where you can actually, it can really be an advantage for you, especially if you have a small account. You can use these for income. I do this a lot when I'm selling options. If you go to my channel, you see a lot of times I sell options all the time. And then hedging. Say we went ahead and we bought a stock and we thought it was going to fly to the moon. Well, maybe we would want to buy ourselves a put just in case the stock actually goes against us and starts going down. I could hedge my bets and make some money off of that put when it goes down. And I'll explain a call and put right now. So the terms you need to know. There's a call. A call option gives the holder the right, not the obligation, to buy the underlying security at the strike price on or before expiration. A call option will therefore become more valuable as the underlying security rises in price. So that's a lot of mumbo jumbo, but basically a call and a put are the same thing, just different directions. So a call is me buying that stock that's at $100, and I want to buy the option that's 120. I'm hoping for the stock to continue its way up and get to 120 or beyond in order for me to make money. The put is the same thing, but in the opposite. So if I thought the stock was going to go down, maybe I could buy the $90 put, and I would hope that the stock would come down against me. So we see here the call, you want it to go up, and the put, you want it to go down. Now, an easy way to remember that, for me personally, just think of a phone, right? If you go to call someone, what do? You pick up the phone. So I call someone, I pick up the phone. When I'm done talking with them, I put the phone down, right? So put down, and I call someone up, right? So call, I want it to go up. Put, I want it to go down. Nice, easy way for you to remember. Hopefully you appreciate that. The strike price, also known as the exercise price, is the predetermined price at which a specific security may be purchased for a call option or for a put option. The option holder until the expiration date of the options contract. So that's essentially just talking about 120, 130, 140. I'm going to break it down for you in the future so you understand. But it's just you're buying the option contract at a certain strike price. It's actually pretty easy. It's right here. Okay? So strike, when you're looking at an options contract tree, the strikes are always going to be in the middle. And this is exactly what they look like here. So this is just for one specific date, but you can see strike 140, 141, 142, 143, 150, 152. So it works its way across. So this is just the price of the underlying stock, and that's the contract that you're looking to buy. So it's literally just, hey, I wanted to buy the 140 contract, that's the strike price. I want to buy the 145, that's the strike price. It's pretty simple. Calls are always going to be on the left on the contract tree, and I'm going to show you this, and puts are always going to be on the right. Each contract you buy is always worth 100 shares. So when you buy one contract, you're essentially buying 100 shares of the underlying stock. So say it's Apple stock. If you bought one contract, it would be like you're buying 100 shares of Apple at, say it was the 140 strike price. Let's just say I would be buying 100 shares at $140. And all of the option contracts are going to have their own pricing. And I'll break that down for you in a little bit. So one contract equals 100. You get two contracts is 200. Three is 300. Obviously, you get it. You just continue, and you can get super high with it if you want. This allows you to purchase much more of a stock than you normally could. And this is where options have a huge benefit for people, especially if you have a smaller account. The stock is $100, right? Say it's $100. If I just wanted to buy the stock, if I wanted to get 10 shares and the stock price is $100, it's going to cost me $1,000 just to get 10 shares of that stock. Obviously, I need a lot more capital, and if I have a smaller account, that's going to be tough. But one contract, when you're talking about options, you're getting 100 shares at a fraction of that price. Now, right now, it's hard for me to tell you exactly what price it would be because it depends on the stock and all that stuff. But when we get a little bit further along, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. But I can guarantee you it's going to be much, much, much cheaper than $1,000 to get 100 shares, right? If you wanted to get 100 shares of $100 stock, it'd be $10,000, right? So it's basically allowing you to get into something that you normally wouldn't be able to get into if you have that smaller account, and the leverage on it is huge. So the puts are always going to be on the right, the calls are going to be on the left, and the strikes are going to be right down the middle. Each contract has a specific expiry date. So every contract, if I go to this strike, right, you can see here, these are going to expire November 24th, which is actually today. But you can have ones that expire every month, every week, and every day. It's typically the last Friday of each month, and Fridays for the weeklies. And then you can actually have monthly, weekly, or dailies on the SPX or the major indices. So basically the major indexes, you're going to have dailies now as well. So you can, if you ever heard of 0 DTE, 0 days to expiration, you're going to have those options where you can basically just trade these every single day. Whenever it expires, that's when you need to be making sure that you're getting out of that contract or deciding what you want to do. Now, we're going to actually go to the market. So get excited because I'm going to show you exactly what it is. But before we do that, I just have a little picture here, and you can see all the strike prices are coming down this way, right? We have the calls over here on the left. We have the puts over here on the right. And then we have the actual prices of those contracts. And you can see how cheap they can actually be. It's only $3.37 to buy this 157 one here. Now you have something called here is at the money, and then you have in the money in the purple section, and you have out of the money over here on the when they're out of the money. And you can see how the contracts get a lot cheaper. When they're out of the money, they get a little more expensive. And then as you get into the money, they get more expensive. Pop over to the real-time chart, and I'll talk about it just a little bit more and actually put on a trade so you can get a full grasp of what I'm talking about. All right, so we're in the platform here. It's Thinkorswim in case you're interested, and I'm on the options tree. And you're going to see, or the options chain, you're going to see all the dates here. So these are all of the expiries. 24th, the 27th, the 28th, the 29th. Like I was saying, it's daily because this is the SPY, the ETF for the S&P 500. And it goes all the way down. I mean, you can get all the way 784 days out if you want. So you can go really far. And this is the 0 day. So this is going to expire in a couple hours, right? So these contracts are going to be very cheap because there's not a lot of time left in the option because they actually expire today. So we see the strike prices like I was mentioning. We have the puts on the right, the calls on the left, and you can actually go through and purchase these if you want. But you can see how cheap they are. Let's go out to something maybe just 4 days out, and we'll see that at the money, because the price of the SPY right now is 455.30. So it goes from purple to black right at the money. So basically the options that are kind of around here are going to be somewhat fairly priced. They're going to get more expensive the deeper you go in here, because if I have something that's an option contract that's at 443 strike price, well, there's value in this, just like with the car I was mentioning at 30,000, and then now it's worth 35,000. There's value in this contract because the actual price of the SPY is nice and high right now, right? So there's intrinsic value in the options contract there. But here's one thing I wanted to show you. Is right now the price is 455. If I try to get 100 shares at 455, so 455 times 100, right? We're talking $45,500 I would have to put down in order to get 100 shares of the SPY. But if I look right here, it's only $1.40, right? Or let's say $2. So it's only $2 to have a contract right at let's do the 455. Right at 455, it's $1.43. So $1.43, right, times 100, because I have to pay, it's 100 shares for every contract, right, times 100, that's only $143, obviously, right? I could have done this math in my head, but it's good to have the visual. So $143. In order for me to get 100 shares, one contract of SPY, it could only cost me $143 versus $45,000. So you can see how that can be a huge advantage, especially if you have a small account. Now, there's a lot of factors when it comes to options because I only have 4 days to go on this. So the value is going to be ticking away. And that's because this thing expires in 4 days. Let's use the analogy of sports, right? If you place bets before the game starts, obviously it's going to be a little more expensive. Maybe the odds, are, I don't know much about sports betting, but you're going to have maybe a little bit more expensive to put some money down on that bet. But if we got to the end of the game and there's only 5 minutes left, and one team's down by 20 points, it's probably going to be very cheap for you to bet on the losing team, because what are the chances of them getting 20 points in 5 minutes, right? So it's going to change as time goes by, and it's going to expire soon. It's the same thing with the option contracts, where as we get closer and closer to that expiry, you're going to have something called time decay or theta decay, which is a little more advanced. And another thing to know for options is theta and gamma and delta and vega. These are all option Greeks that also affect the price of the option as well. That's for a more advanced class, but that's something to be aware of as a beginner. Now, if you wanted to kind of hedge your bets against that a little bit, you could say, okay, let's go all the way out until next December in 2024, so a year away. Now, these are obviously going to be more expensive because of the sports analogy I just did. We're still a year away. There's a lot of things that the SPY can do, right? So these are going to be a lot more expensive. At $37 times 100, you're gonna have to put down $3,700 instead of only $200 to get that option contract. But there's going to be a lot of leverage on here. You can see how expensive these get as we move closer and closer into the money. So if the price went from 455 up to say 500 over the next year, you can see this option contract is going to be worth a lot more, right? Maybe in the $85 range, $90 range. It's hard to know. Of course, there's a lot of factors, but you're going to have lots of leverage on those options. So keep it very simple and just wrap this up right now. You have calls on the left, the puts on the right, the strike price in the middle. You're trying to buy an option just to give you a chance here. So if I wanted to buy this one, say, I'd say, okay, it's at 455 right now. I think next year the SPY is going to be at $600, right? Which is going to be pretty sweet. I don't want to put $45,000 down right now. I want to buy an option on it. You just come over here, you left click, and this is Thinkorswim. It'll just open it up for you right here. You have one option contract. It's going to be $41, right? Basically, it's going to expire the 20th of December, 2024. My strike price is $455. I'm hoping that the price of SPY goes all the way to $550 or something like that. I'm going to have a ton of value in there, like the car at the $30,000, and then it goes up to $5K, like I was saying before. If I want this to go to, say, 500, let's just keep it simple. I want it to go to 500. I'm going to have $45 of intrinsic value in there. Okay, so just the intrinsic value, and then I'm going to have a whole bunch of more value and leverage in there because of the option contracts, as long as this happens quicker and we're not all the way up to December 20th, 24. And it's as simple as me looking at the price, and then I just have to click confirm and send. Okay, so basically, I'm hoping that this kind of broke down for you if you're an options beginner, exactly kind of what you need to be focused on, the calls, the puts, the strikes, and generally how they work. I really appreciate you sticking around this long. If you don't mind, like and subscribe if you found some value. And comment below if you have any more questions. I'll catch you on the next one.